Hello, 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 everybody. What an evening. What an evening. This is going to be a wild one. I'm trying to get this stream in and done with before the presidential debate starts, I believe at 9 p.m. Eastern. I didn't want to compete with that. I know there's going to be a lot of people watching that. I myself actually am interested in watching that. But yeah, I thought there's a couple of amazing things I've seen the past week that I want to get into. I want to do some reactions. I want to talk about because it's frankly very exciting news that's piqued my interest. So the first thing we're going to be taking a look at is Piers Morgan on his show. He's been kind of going crazy with his he's been bringing in people from YouTube and all kinds of stuff on his show, and he's even recently come out with this segment where they talked about Snow White, the upcoming Rachel Zegler film Snow White for the remake live action. It's coming out next year. And he brought on Nerdrotic, Gary with Nerdrotic, and Critical Drinker, as well as a couple other people. And they talked about Snow White. They actually had a little bit of a debate with one guy defending it, while four, including Piers Morgan, just slammed the controversy around this movie. So I'm going to be reacting to that. I'm going to share some of my thoughts in regards to that whole thing because I think it's very interesting. And then I'm also going to be looking at some news around Megalopolis, some more interesting, right before it's about to come out in a few weeks, the new Francis Ford Coppola movie that he's kind of funded himself. There's some more interesting news around that I'm going to be covering. And I think it actually might be the most interesting thing out of Hollywood all year. And not a lot of people are talking about it, but this might be the most interesting thing, the most interesting film, the most interesting journey to follow this movie out of Hollywood for this whole year. It's super fascinating. And then also Rings of Power, going to look at some of their viewer numbers, and it actually looks like it might be wise for Amazon Prime to cancel the show because of the depressing viewership numbers that season 2 is getting compared to season 1. So I'm going to be looking at all that. I'm going to start with this Piers Morgan clip. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. So yeah, we got Piers Morgan. If you don't know who he is, he's been all over the place. He used to be in broadcast media. I think he still is technically. I'm not sure, but a lot of online stuff. Gary from Nerdrotic, Critical Drinker from YouTube. Nerdrotic's on YouTube as well. Not sure who the lady is, and I'm not sure who the last guy on the end is, except I know the last guy on the end is defending Disney over this whole Snow White issue. So let's go ahead and watch this. I'm going to react to it, share my thoughts throughout. I'm not going to watch the whole thing. It's like 30 minutes long. So we're just going to watch part of it, especially around the Snow White issue. So let me go ahead and start this, and let's just get into this.
Hello.
Did I miss you, Piers? Not really. And this whole Snow White thing is just performative outrage. It is.
Actually, you're right. Do you know what? We're going to start the new autumn season, if you like, of this, or the fall, if you're watching in America, with a point of immediate agreement between me and John.
So his first point in this whole debate is that it's pointless outrage. The whole issue around Rachel Zegler and the dwarves and this remake of Snow White and all the controversy that's been around it.
James Barr.
Right.
That's exactly what this is. It is performative bullshit.
No, it's performative outrage.
But it's
I can't censor other people's videos, so I apologize. I hope I don't get hit already for that.
By Disney and by Hollywood.
On your part.
Really? Why?
Yes, absolutely. Because this is a movie that was made in 1937 and is being remade in 2024. And you sit here moaning about the differences between those two movies, like 1937 were the glory days.
What?
Well, what are you talking about? Why are you...
So he's automatically jumping to the argument and assuming that he understands the controversy and is ready to defend Disney because he thinks that people are living in the past and they're just like, there's nothing wrong with it's what's so interesting. The woke crowd that defends Disney and Rachel Zegler, who's playing the Snow White character, are on this constant narrative that the old cartoon back in the old days, like of Disney and Hollywood, that They just are pushing this narrative that those were problematic times, that there shouldn't be any kind of glorifying of that. In fact, a remake in 2024 is in some ways redeeming the old problematic time that the original Disney cartoon was created. So that they just keep repeating this narrative. And although that's a really stupid argument, because if you watch it, it's actually relatively wholesome, but the woke crowd is super against everything the film stands for. They don't even like the fact that Snow White is cleaning up the house. I think they get into that, so I won't jump ahead. But yeah, it's like they don't understand, and they just want to tell us that the old Snow White is problematic and this new one is redeeming it and is better, right? This need to defend Disney for some reason.
Offended by this movie? Why do you think people are
because
not
they replaced the dwarves with CGI abominations. They are pretending like Rachel Ziegler is the first of them all when she looks like Lord Farquaad in the film. Somehow Gal Gadot.
That's what we've been saying. I feel like the whole internet's been saying that, honestly, but that's what we've been saying. That haircut is whack.
Who's easily one of the top 10 most attractive women on the planet is some evil, ugly stepmother, which she is not. I don't know how she burst out laughing.
Yeah, none
saying,
of it
who's
works,
the first of
right?
them all,
None
and
of it
looking
is
at
actually
Rachel.
See, we're not the only ones saying this. Everyone is saying it. Gal Gadot is beautiful. Rachel Zegler's cute. And comparatively, the evil queen, who's played by Gal Gadot, is clearly the fairest between the two.
Truth.
Yeah.
Let's bring in our two YouTube
He says this is nonsense because they're making good points.
experts, because Critical Drinker, your YouTube video on the trailer has now been viewed nearly 2.5 million times. And you said the new dwarfs look is nightmare fuel. Can you explain that for us, please?
Yeah, so what they've obviously tried to do is retain the artistic aesthetic of the cartoon from the 1930s, but transpose it into a live-action movie, and it just looks horrific. It's so out of place. And when you see them dancing next to Rachel Zegler, who's an actual human actor, it just looks awful. They don't...
That's what we've been saying. They're doing a live-action remake where the only things that's not live action... The only things that are live action are the actors. Like, even the dwarves are not real people. It's like Gal Gadot, Rachel Zegler, and whatever other, like the prince, whoever's playing them, are like the only thing live action about this movie. The world is completely CGI. The environment, the broom they're using to sweep up with, probably, as well as the dwarves themselves, are all CGI. So it's like, why are we even making a live action when the majority of this film is CGI cartoon, right?
Match up. They're deep into the uncanny valley. It is the worst possible choice they could have made. It would have been so...
And my friend Wyatt, we just constantly bring up the fact that like peak CGI was in like 2009 when, you know, Dead Men's Chest, Pirates of the Caribbean came out, and the first Avatar came out. And for some reason, recently, they seem to have devolved into this. They don't, like, Hollywood doesn't know how to make realistic, convincing, completely animated characters or CGI effects. We saw that with the Flash movie and the falling babies, you know?
It would be so much easier if they just used actual dwarf actors. I don't know why they haven't done that.
Why is no one offended about the new Lord of the Rings show on Amazon?
I think he got notes ahead of time because he's not a good actor, and he's springing up like slapping his leg. Why is nobody like? It's like he's prepared these takes that he's gonna have and present them to the group as if he's thought of this before, but he's pretending like it's spontaneous. And I'm not fully spontaneous, to be honest with you all. I have seen this previously. This is the second time I've watched this video.
Where they have actors, non-dwarf actors playing dwarfs. Why are we not talking about that? Why is no one offended about that? Why are we just picking on Disney?
Well, I am now you mentioned it.
Yeah,
well, you should be.
There's room for
Could have got them in.
But there isn't, is there? You're just firing
I'm offended
outrage
about the whole
at
show,
Snow
personally.
White.
Yeah, Gary jumps in with, I'm offended by the whole thing.
Because they're trying to do something different.
Hey, man, You want to talk to me about Rings of Power? I will talk your ear off for hours.
Let's
but
go.
like, we're here to discuss Snow White. So what do you want me to say?
That's true. That's a whole nother conversation that people like this guy are defending. And it's all garbage. It's hilarious that this guy's bringing up a whole nother problematic piece of media out of Hollywood against these guys, against Gary and Critical Drinker, because they have had hours, tens of hours of content around Rings of Power, and he's bringing up like it's an original thought. It's hilarious.
You know, exactly. I want to bring in Nerdrotic, because what this is really about is the fact that the people who are most angry about this are not people like me who were saying, well, why the hell are they doing this? It's such crap. It was actual dwarf actors who rely on movies like this, which literally are about...
It is funny that I know he's bringing on people who are relevant to talk about this in the internet space. It's just kind of funny that Piers Morgan has these really hot takes, and he's probably about, I don't know, a month and a half too late, where the conversation is already kind of done with. Snow White is still popular in conversation, but it comes up in conversation again when new stuff comes out, and the trailer's already been out. Everyone's already had these conversations about the Peter Dinklage thing, the dwarves, the way they look. Still relevant points he's making. It's just a little behind.
Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, they rely on that for really significant income. If you're a dwarf actor and you land a part in one of these movies,
it's a great point.
You make a lot of money. And yet suddenly it's been taken away from you. That's what incenses me on their behalf.
Yeah, this is where political correctness paints itself into a corner every single time. You find yourself with very strange bedfellows in this. And it's not just the actors, it's Disney fans. Disney fans are offended by Rachel Zegler's comments, disrespecting the movie that made Disney. And this is why there is 1 million dislikes on this trailer. And it's a culmination of
which, yeah, by the way, they do intro the video, this interview, by saying 1 million dislikes. This trailer for Snow White has reached 1 million dislikes. 1 million dislikes. That's a big deal.
Creative bankruptcy. If this movie just existed on its own, it probably wouldn't be that much of a controversy. But if you add a singular Peter Dinklage interview that cost dwarf actors their jobs, and Zegler out there popping off and fanning the flames, along with everything Disney's done over the last 6 years, you have Snow White.
He makes a lot of good points. If people don't know what Peter Dinklage interview is talking about, Peter Dinklage went on like a show or a podcast, I don't know exactly what, and he made a comment about how Hollywood is still casting dwarves to play like these like magical dwarf characters, when he himself has made his living and got into the Hollywood system to play serious dwarf characters in fantasy stories. It's interesting that he seems to, everyone was saying he is closing the door behind him and locking it so that other dwarf individuals cannot take advantage of the open market to fill this space that films and TV needs to be filled by people like Peter Dinklage and other dwarves, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly the point.
But
James, here's my point. If you had a gay-themed movie...
Which, to go back to this guy James' point, like some shows like Rings of Power are just not utilizing dwarves at all, because if you don't want to use dwarves, you have to use real people, or you have to do completely animated things because it's offensive to make dwarves look like dwarves. I don't know. I don't. Gary made a good point. They always paint, progressive ideologies paint themselves into a corner.
Right. And it had potentially parts for 6 great gay characters, right? Say there was a book and it had 6 great gay characters in it.
James is gay, obviously.
And there were lots of gay actors who would love to play those roles, right? And suddenly it was decided that that could not happen, that actually no gay actors would be allowed to play any of those roles. You would be on here leading the charge of outrage that gay actors were being deprived work when it was literally in their wheelhouse. And that's the argument which I don't think you're quite computing.
No, and I agree with you. I would be somewhat outraged, but I think there's something deeper going on here in that we're talking about stereotypes. I'm normally offended if...
Wait, is the gay characters stereotypes as well?
If a gay person misses out on a gay role, if a straight person is playing a camp, overtly gay stereotype.
Right, so why are you not upset for the dwarf actors?
Because I think what they're trying to do here is make it more inclusive. Plus, also remember...
Inclusive, I think I'm going to step on her toes, but inclusive to who? Inclusive to people who are regular statured individuals who it's more of a struggle and more expensive to make them appear short, to be inclusive to people who already have the opportunity to get the majority of roles. No, like the dwarf market needs to be open to the dwarves of society so that they can work and be entertainers and have as much opportunity.
Inclusive. It's a robot.
You're excluding dwarf actors.
They are
That's the opposite of inclusion.
They're literally excluding
why are we
dwarves.
pretending that Hollywood is a fair place for actors?
It's not about
Why
that.
are
But
we
the
sat
thing
here-
is, they didn't even. Hold on.
It's not the fact that it's a fair place. It's that it was a fair place for this specific section of the human population, for people who are short in stature, had the opportunity to play a large variety of different roles in fantasy genres, especially. And so it's literally degrading the opportunity that they have. And it was already a fair place in Hollywood, because the likelihood that they're going to get roles to play, like Peter Dinklage sometimes will get a role that he's playing a regular person and he just happens to be a dwarf guy, right? So it doesn't always acknowledge the fact, like his character's not defined by his dwarfism. In the same way that, but he's built his career off of the opposite, right? It's only now that he has a problem with it, and it's closing the market to a ton of other potential actor desirables.
The world
replaced
isn't
them
a
with
fair place.
cartoons.
They were cartoons in the original film.
So if we're making a live action, they should be real life now.
They have a human actress. So they have a human actress dancing next to six
But
green
how far do we
dummies.
go with this faux outrage? Are we going to
Well,
say
I mean,
that
we could
like
start.
in the movie
We could
Pets,
start
all
by
pets
letting
need to be
actors
actual
act.
animals?
Because there's
Are we
going to
going to
people like
say that
you. Hold
Yoda
on.
needs to be played by...
It's people like you that would be outraged that if an actor is
Yoda was a puppet, dude.
not gay, you shouldn't play a gay role. When actors are literally paid
Sorry, y'all. I have a bug flying around my face.
to act. So how about we just let actors act? And if you're going to cast human beings as human roles, then you shouldn't replace them with CGI abominations and say,
I mean,
oh, by
literally,
the way, this is
if a
inclusive.
dwarf actor...
Listen, I don't know why you
ridiculous
keep
to say a
saying,
CGI
James, I don't know why you keep saying
abomination.
outrage as
It's a
well.
I'm trying to listen to them talk.
An abomination.
It actually is an
There are
abomination.
so many CGI movies,
It
and there
is
are
an
so
abomination.
many people that have
I think
played
you're- yeah,
dwarves that have been they've used CGI to do that, and no one's outraged. You're just outraged because Disney are trying to make the world a better place, and you want to live in 1937.
Disney's not trying to make the world a better place. My word, is that the biggest lie there has ever been? They are not trying to make the world a better place. They are trying to interject their enjoyed genres and stories that have been enjoyed for years, and trying to demonize anyone who doesn't follow the message. Since we have, Critical Drinker on, I'll use his terminology, the message, right? The message being this woke ideology. It's not about inclusivity. It's not about fairness. It's about equity. And equity is not equality. And equality is the thing that is right to pursue. Equity is the thing that is fascistic to pursue. And no, Disney's not trying. They have an ideology that fundamentally is against human nature and fundamentally against the human experience. And it sets themselves up as being the moral superiors to everybody. And they're going to blast fans if they don't like the message that they're trying to cram down your throat. No, that's not making the world a better place. It honestly sounds like a corporation is trying to be fascistic in its ideology towards the public.
Nobody at Disney's making the world a better place, man. And I don't know why you keep using the word outrage. No one's outraged about this movie. People are laughing at it because it's a joke. It is a combination of everything bad about modern movie making.
Yeah, I mean, it's what we've been saying. We saw the trailer. We heard what Rachel Zegler had to say. We were like, this movie is way too expensive. The budget's bloated. It's going to be horrible. There's not even as high of a demand for these live action remakes that they're doing. And so it's just silliness. It's a big waste. And it is funny. And we get views and get views on YouTube when we create content around this, because we do have a take and we do have an opinion. And when we share it, other people, we can rally around in a circle and other people can express their opinions, but ultimately agree and bond around something that's so hilariously bad.
You've got a movie called Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs that doesn't have dwarves in it. You've got the fairest of them all, who's put up against Gal Gadot, and somehow Gal Gadot is jealous of Rachel Zegler. And you've got a story about the search for true love that's no longer about true love. What even is this movie?
Exactly.
It is a hollow, vacuous joke.
And I can add one more. I'll let Nerdrotic do this, because there's a leaked scene that was shown at the recent D23 review.
So this is where they get into the whole bit about sweeping up, and I'll move on after this bit, but I want to react to this part as well.
Reveals that the modern empowered Snow White won't even allow domestic labor being carried out by herself. Instead, she orders the dwarves to tidy up themselves, even when they've had a hard day down the mine.
House.
I mean, Nerdrotic, isn't this taking the whole virtue signaling stuff to a ridiculous degree?
Absolutely. If you want to remake the movie, just remake the movie in live action, note for note. It would probably be much better.
The common sense coming in with the clean common sense. It's very hilarious that that this is a whole point that they're making. It's definitely a part of that push of ideology and messages that I was talking about, but they're about to get into it. But if you don't remember, because who's watched the old Snow White recently? So Snow White goes and she finds a house in the woods, and she's like, maybe if I clean up their house, they'll let me stay, because she needs a place to stay. She's been running through a dangerous, scary woods by herself, and she's looking for someone to help her. And they're off away. She doesn't know who lives there. So she says, I could get inside if I clean up the place. Me and the animals that love me. If I clean up their house, maybe they'll be happy with me and they'll let me stay. It's I give something, they give something, that kind of thing, right? It's a trade.
But it's so obvious now because of the blight of intersectionality that's spread throughout our entire society that we can't have a woman holding a broom. Not that Rachel Zegler would know what to do with a broom other than fly on it, but
she's a witch.
I mean, that's what it is, and it's predictable, and it's what Drinker just said. It's nobody's outraged. It's mockery.
And we all know the moment
it is hilarious that this mind virus has gone so far down this path that Hollywood does not even want to have a woman hold a broom on screen. I mean, did you guys watch the movie Joy, starring Jennifer Lawrence a handful of years back? It was literally about a woman inventor who decided she was going to invent a self-cleaning mop because she was a woman who cleaned for her family and she knew the market wanted this. That's a really strong story. It's finding the holes in the market and creating a business and getting wealthy and becoming an entrepreneur powerhouse lady off of finding the holes in the market. But the modern Hollywood's like, oh no, it has too many bad connotations to have a woman holding a cleaning utensil. We can't have that on screen.
We all know. I haven't seen it yet, but I would lay even money the moment Prince Charming moves in for the kiss while she's asleep, he gets arrested.
Yeah, exactly. Immediately.
I like this lady that keeps laughing her face off. I want to see if she has some content online because she's entertaining.
I mean, it has
She
to
hasn't
be.
given
Yeah.
consent.
Arrested and taken off to Harvey Weinstein's prison.
The original story is problematic. Why is everyone ignoring that?
how
What do you mean problematic?
Why should a woman walk into seven blokes' house, right? Seven dwarfs' house, and clean it for them? It's their house. I don't care how long they've been working.
I already said that. It's because she's asking for something for free from them to stay with them and protect her. And in order to do that, she preemptively, not being asked by them, but she preemptively offers her services to clean the house, to pay her way, to stay with them and be protected. So she's not alone in a dark, scary woods.
Do the cleaning
Didn't-
yourself.
didn't they-
Why should
I'm fully
Did
with
they
her.
save
They're
her
letting
life
her
at that
stay
point?
there.
They've
That's
been
the
down a
movie.
mine
Thank you.
all day. Why isn't she down the mine?
Well, they shouldn't be because
Well,
mine.
but hold on.
shouldn't
What
exist
about
anymore.
This guy's trolling a bit. Every point they make, he just comes back with this crazy trolling attitude and has everything. Like literally they bring up mines, which is a part of the story. And he said, well, mines shouldn't exist anymore. Okay. At this point, it's a joke, right?
about gratitude and being a decent person? They're letting
Yeah, the drinker gets it. He's just laughing. He's just like, are we being serious here? Is this a for real debate?
her stay
Yes.
there for free.
And by the way, how dare you stigmatize cleaning as a job?
I'm
For
not. I'm
women,
just saying that I think
Really?
it's weird that you're
a lot of
all
cleaners
saying.
watching this show thinking, wow, really? You're saying that it's beneath a
I
woman
actually
to
haven't.
clean?
No, I'm saying that
Are you?
everyone should clean, especially
Are
the
you?
person that owns the house.
Are you
But in the story, the dwarves didn't ask her to clean. She just did it because she had a good, kind heart, which is going to be different than the Rachel Zegler character. She's going to be entitled and intolerable is what Rachel Zegler Snow White is going to be.
saying it's demeaning for a woman to clean a house?
Piers,
Uh,
that's
James,
not what I said.
I'm letting you know this
Wow.
now.
That is
If
not
I
what I
ever let
said.
you live in my
Don't
house
implying
for
it.
free, you are cleaning.
And just to make matters even
just
worse,
letting you know this.
critical drinker, we then had Rachel Zegler, who'd already been gobbing off left, right, and centre, causing endless problems. She then shared the trailer on social media and added Free Palestine, despite the fact that her co-star, Gal Gadot, is Israeli. So you can imagine what that's done. That's just poured kerosene all over the place.
Well, the thing is, the problem with Rachel Zegler is I don't think she has enough brain cells to even know what's going on. I think she knows that the term Free Palestine is a message to the far left, and that's all she was doing. She was just trying to be a good lefty actress. She didn't even know. I bet you she is not even aware of what's going on in the Middle East. I bet you she's not even aware that Palestine is in direct opposition to Israel as a whole. And that, and I bet you that she's not even aware that Gal Gadot is Israeli. I don't think that was done. You can't be that stupid. I think she literally was just like, I'm going to send some messaging to the woke liberal Hollywood to let you know I'm a good person. I'm a good person. I'm a good person. Just let me keep working. I'm a good person. Right. And she just keeps putting her foot in her mouth.
Does she even
Yeah,
know
the
where Palestine
promotional
is?
tour for this
There you go. She doesn't.
movie's going to be wild, man.
Yeah.
When you get them two together.
I mean, it just
I don't know why she felt the need to do that. It's if there's one thing you want to do, particularly when you're someone like Rachel Zegler who's already in hot water, just stay away from politics for a little while. Just try and promote your crap movie and try and salvage something from this mess. But I guess you just couldn't.
the
help
odd thing
herself.
is actually,
I'm waiting to see if I have a last little zinger from this guy, James. Just want to hear if he says anything else really stupid about
and
this.
Nerdrotic, that Disney have just had a monster hit this summer, haven't they?
Yeah. Two. They've had two. They've had actually a pretty good year.
Yeah.
If you think about it, Planet of the Apes, most with Fox properties, but Planet of the Apes did okay. Alien Romulus is doing pretty good. Inside Out 2 was the biggest movie of the year.
And you know what none of them
Deadpool
did?
and Wolverine is still crushing it.
Right, and none of them went down this stupid road. Right? In other words, when
No.
Disney just does what we want Disney to do, which is make great movies. I think Disney's a great company, historically a fantastic company, and it's done some great stuff this summer. Just do what you're good at. You don't need to do this stuff. If you just brought out a movie with Snow White and dwarf actors, everyone would have gone, great. That's the movie we want to see.
It wouldn't have been a problem.
No.
It wouldn't have been a problem.
But I
No,
think-
Disney helps fan the flames because they're so risk averse and they're so afraid of looking bad to one part of the audience. They don't give a crap about the majority of the audience who are just normal people who want to go and be entertained and escape.
Exactly.
They're so
I
worried
can
about their own
guarantee-
people.
Yeah, it'll be a bomb. I can guarantee it.
Yes.
But I want to shift to something else, which is
All right, so they shift to talking about James Bond being gay. So, with all of that said, I think Piers Morgan had a good point. It's that when they don't focus on all of the pandering in their movies and their stories, it ends up being a relative success or a really big success. And so that's just something that honestly Disney needs to focus on. But with every film they put out that's like related to princesses or some kind of women empowerment thing, if that's the foundation of where you're working from, it always gets corrupted into something more insidious, right? It's like the snake eating its own tail. It's like when you're trying to criticize and attack a certain section of culture that doesn't hold the super liberal ideological movement that you're pushing, you end up just hurting yourself. That's ultimately what it ends. That's the end of the cul-de-sac, is you just hurt yourself because the fans could just sit back and laugh. I mean, the more flops and the more controversy that comes out of shows and movies like this, the people that hate it are laughing. People like me that can see through the crap, people like Gary from Nerdrotic and all the people on Friday Night Tights, people like Critical Drinker, people like Piers Morgan. All these people are getting views and making money and getting exposure and building a community around these people's mistakes and mess ups. And they could keep doing it, but in the end, it just empties their wallet and hurts their brand. So that's about all I have to say about that. But we're gonna hit two more very fascinating stories. Give me just a second. All right. This might be the most interesting thing out of Hollywood all year. And it's some more news around Francis Ford Coppola's Megalopolis. All right. So recently there's this article that comes out that he wants to clarify how basically his approach to the film, and that he says he does not want this to just be some woke Hollywood production. Now, it's fascinating in today's culture that someone like that's been a part of Hollywood for their entire career would say something this overt and divisive inside of the Hollywood system. The cool thing about this film is that it's not inside of the Hollywood system. It was funded by Coppola's own money. He dropped over $100 million to make this movie, Megalopolis, starring Adam Driver, and he spent it all. He's paid for the whole thing himself, which is pretty wild. So let's see what he has to say. Francis Ford Coppola told Rolling Stone that his intention with Megalopolis was to make a movie that could not be deemed some woke Hollywood production. The cast includes controversial actors such as Jon Voight. If you guys don't know who that is, it's this guy. All right. Jon Voight, who has turned heads in Hollywood for his conservative views and outspoken support for Donald Trump. Oh no! How dare he? He's turned heads because he has conservative values and that he thinks Donald Trump's gonna be a good president. My goodness, how controversial can you get? That's not a controversial statement. That's literally his personal preferred candidate for the presidency of the United States. It has nothing to do with entertaining people with movies. But Coppola has casted him in the movie, even though Hollywood has said, oh, he's kind of out because he's a conservative. You want to talk about inclusivity and equity? That's a word you guys like. How dare you push people out of Hollywood and blackball them and try to cancel them because of their political preferences and affiliations? How dare you? How freaking dare you? What nonsense has entered your brain to think that's right? This is about entertainment and creativity. It is not about divisive politics. People can disagree about politics and still work together, which actually he goes on to talk about. So here's a quote. What I didn't want to happen is that we're deemed some woke Hollywood production that's simply lecturing viewers, Coppola said. The cast features people who were canceled at one point or another. There were people who are arch conservatives and others who are extremely politically progressive. We were all working on one film together. That was interesting, I thought. Yeah, it is interesting. It's crazy that in Hollywood, someone has to spend their own money to make a movie that they want done and to work with the people that they deem interesting and good actors to work with, like this guy, John Voight, because he's been on a lot of great productions. He's a really skilled actor. And the fact that he's been blackballed out of a majority of Hollywood productions because of his political opinions is wrong. It's hypocritical, and it's as closed system cult mentality as you can possibly get. Hollywood is such a disgusting cult. It absolutely is a disgusting cult, shaded in smoke and mirrors with the idea of saying, oh, we're just entertainers and we want to, provide joy and entertainment to the world, and we're interesting and creative. But at the end of the day, you're just another political branch of a captured ideological cult. That's all Hollywood is. It's disgusting. My gosh. And the fact that Coppola has assembled a cast of people who are willing to work with each other, spent his own money to tell a story he thinks is valuable and interesting and entertaining and creative for people to watch, and spent over $100,000, not $100,000, $100 million of his own money to do it, is very, very interesting to me, actually. He also talks about Shia LaBeouf, and how he did a great job and really pushed him. Shia LaBeouf has a tendency to make friction with the director, is what he says. And when Shia LaBeouf pushes people like the director to their edge, and then they kind of give him space, he ends up coming up with something brilliant. And Coppola's, a real directing artist with a ton of really awesome films in his belt, like The Godfather and Apocalypse Now and everything. And so, I think it's incredible that he's bringing on these controversial characters. He also stars Adam Driver, and we know Adam Driver is very much part of the Hollywood system. So I'm sure his political leanings are very left, but he's also willing to work with people that aren't the same political sway as he, which is very refreshing. You got Aubrey Plaza, Dustin Hoffman, Lawrence Fishburne. Yeah, there's a lot of really cool people that are working on this. Natalie, I believe she's from Game of Thrones. Yeah, I think she's from Game of Thrones. A little bit of the controversy before this, right? This is completely what Hollywood doesn't want to happen. They don't want the people that they've blackballed to get more work. But here's some other stuff that this article from Variety wants to highlight for people. Controversy has engulfed Megalopolis since its premiere at the Cannes Film Festival, where it sharply divided critics. Reports of Coppola's alleged misconduct on the set surfaced around the same time, including claims that he kissed extras during filming of a party scene. I say that's a lie. I don't think there's a dude in his 80s who's super creative like this, has an interest in going around just trying to kiss extras. I think that's a lie. I think that cancel culture is in 2024 is built around a lot of lies. I think because it's not about Me Too. It's literally about cancel culture. It is the tactic that is used to get people like John out of Hollywood and stop acting because they don't like his political opinions. So unless there's proof, Francis Ford Coppola is completely innocent. I want to see proof. I want to see an actual I want to see proof of any accusation that he was doing something creepy like trying to kiss strangers. An additional controversy erupted this month when Lionsgate debuted the trailer for Megalopolis and then had to pull it offline because it featured made-up quotes from movie critics. That's true. A couple weeks ago, I did cover that and kind of laughed at it a bit. I will say it has nothing to do with Francis Ford Coppola. He apologized. He was unaware that those were faked, and so it's not his fault. So it's not on his shoulders. Lionsgate still set to release Megalopolis in theaters September 27th. The movie will next screen at Toronto International Film Festival, and we'll see how those kind of reviews come back. But yeah, I think honestly, this whole story, this whole film, the amount of controversy, the amount of pushback, the amount of hot water this film has been in before it's even announced, none of it is damning. None of it is bad. What's actually interesting to me is that Francis Ford Coppola, his vision and his willing to put his money where his mouth is with his creative expression is very interesting to me. And I watched the trailer and I'm interested, man. I want to watch this movie. It's coming out at the end of this month. I actually want to see this guy's movie, and I think I'll go to the theater and watch it because I'm super interested in it. And this guy laid his own money on the line, and Hollywood doesn't like it. He's brought in actors that have been canceled because he's like, hey, I don't want this to be a woke, preachy film that Hollywood is doing so often now. I want this to be a creative, interesting story that working with actors and the performances from the actors that are interesting and engaging to his creative vision for this story. So yeah, I'm very excited to see stuff like this, that he's like, where he acknowledges the fact, one, that woke is just an arm for political ideology and woke agendas, but also the fact that he's like, we are actively trying not to be this. We are actively trying not to make this film what Hollywood is putting out. We are actually trying to entertain the viewers and trying to actually create something that's enjoyable, interesting, and thought-provoking, and using actors of talent, not actors that have been deemed appropriate for the big screen. He's actually pulling in people who have skill and have been a part of the acting world for a long time. So this is what I say. I applaud Francis Coppola. Now, if the movie's garbage, I'll let you know. If I watch it, I'll review it and I'll tell you what I actually think. If it's not an enjoyable film, I can't lie. I'm not going to lie to people just because I like what he's saying here. And I like the fact that he's trying to do something creatively that's true to himself without being a part of the Hollywood system and without having the binds that Hollywood puts on you. But if the movie is not enjoyable, I'll tell you. I'm not going to lie about that. But I also really appreciate the process that he's gone through, and I think it's intriguing. The trailer intrigues me, and everything I've heard and read about this film intrigues me. And I think the reason why a lot of people are not talking about it is because Hollywood doesn't want it. I think that's why there's controversy of people claiming that he had some kind of kissy misconduct on set. I think it's a lie. And unless it's proven that it's real, I think it's probably a part of a campaign to try to hurt his movie because Hollywood doesn't want this thing to work. In the same way that Hollywood didn't want Angel Studios' Sound of Freedom to work last year, but it worked in a big way, But Hollywood was not happy that that film was successful. There's a ton of articles saying that they're glorifying human trafficking, but really it was putting a spotlight on human trafficking awareness, which Hollywood has done for causes since its existence. So yeah, no, this is outside of the Hollywood system, and there's some people from Hollywood working on it. I believe in this, and I'm going to give it a shot. Let me know in the comments if you guys think this is going to be an interesting movie, if you're going to watch it, and also let me know if you want me to watch it for sure, and leave a review so I can tell you if you want to watch it as well. But yeah, if it's not any good, I'll let you know. But if it's awesome, I'm definitely going to sing the praises because I want people to watch this. I've been keeping up with it behind the scenes, and I'm just like, no one's talking about this. I guess I should probably start talking about it. It looks like a really cool film. If you haven't seen the trailer, well, the trailer was taken down because of the falsified quotes at the top of the trailer, but there were third parties that uploaded it. So just go on YouTube and look up Megalopolis trailer. You can find it. I think you'll enjoy it. I think it'll intrigue you. So go check it out. I'm going to move right along. Got a few more minutes here. Want to take a look at some Rings of Power stuff. So the Rings of Power, honestly, I feel like needs to consider canceling the show. Even only 4 episodes deep of season 2, with 5 seasons originally being pitched for the show, it's not looking good. It's not looking good at all. So the Rings of Power viewership indicates perhaps Amazon shouldn't commit to 5 seasons. All right. So this whole article kind of breaks down the Rings of Power show and all of that. However, when we look at the opener for season 1 compared to the opener for season 2, we are seeing third-party breakdowns of numbers, and they look rough. So the Rings of Power season 1's Labor Day premiere of 132 minutes of 2 episodes brought in 1.2 billion minutes of watch time in 4 days. All right. So Rings of Power Season 2's premiere of 3 episodes totaling 204 minutes brought in 553.5 million minutes watched time in the first 4 days. So 1.2 billion with 2 episodes compared to 553 million minutes between 3 episodes. So right away, they're not even bringing back half. They have not even brought back half of the viewers who watched the first 2 episodes of season 1. They are less than half of people coming back for the first 3 episodes of season 3 or season 2. And they're still supposed to have 3 more seasons after season 2. It's supposed to be a 5-season show. So the fact that this is doing so poorly, it is not resonating with viewers at all. At all. All right. So it also talks about that's less than half, even with an entire extra episode to watch, right? It's not, first season came out with 2 episodes. This season came out with 3. And reports from other firms like Samba indicate similar figures. 1.8 million households for season 1 down to 900,000 for season 2. That means in the first 4 days, right? In the first 4 days, so this is essentially like when you see a YouTube video that gets 900,000 views compared to 1.8. So the first season got 1.8 million views, right? Think of it that way. But this is households. So households played like Wi-Fi. Households Wi-Fi accessed Amazon Prime and played the first 2 episodes of the show. For season 1, 1.8 million views in the first 4 days. For season 2, 900,000. Didn't even crack 1 million. So less than half of the viewers are watching and showing up for season 2, the start, not even like a middle episode, like the very beginning, the premiere of season 2 of Rings of Power. So the question is, should Amazon Prime burn the ships and abandon the boats? Should they just say, hey, this is an expensive show and we're going to keep spending a lot of money on this show unless we bounce now? And I guess the real question is, with numbers like this, I don't think that there's any justification for it to stay around. So I have to just ask you all, with numbers like this, how many seasons do you think they go before they cancel it? Are they going to make it to 5 seasons? Are they going to finish the show and then say we're done? Or and just call it like, oh, it was a 5-season failure? Or are they going to say, hey, maybe season 2 is not doing so hot. Maybe we just need to not like halt production on season 3 and see what happens in season 2 over the next 6 months. I think that would be wise. If there's nobody but upset fans that are watching the show, because I bet you any dollar amount, well, that's a little extravagant. I'm not going to bet my money on this. But figuratively, I'd be willing to bet money that 900,000 households that watched the first couple episodes of season 2, bet you a lot of those are people that are hate watching. People like me that are big fans of Tolkien's Middle-earth and that hate the show because it's a complete abomination to it. The fans are not happy with the show. The shills and the people that aren't true Tolkien fans are the ones that are trying to go to bat for this show. And it's all for naught, because the true fans of Middle-earth are the ones who stay on topic, are the ones who stick with the IP, even when there's not a show coming out. So if the ones who float this IP financially and interest, if they're not happy with the show, and you're also not getting even people to return to watch the show from season 1, less than half. Yeah, I'm curious. I have no idea when they would cancel the show. I personally think they're going to cancel before 5 seasons. I just don't see how you make it. There's no justification for this. I feel like you definitely have to cancel this show before you reach 5 seasons. It is too big of a waste of money, and it's upsetting the fans too much. It absolutely is upsetting the fans way too much. And no, you should not go all the way to 5 seasons with this. And I don't think they're that stupid to do that, because Amazon Prime has shows like Reacher that do well. So they know what a good performing show looks like, and they kind of want to have their shows perform well. So no, I don't think we get 3 more seasons of an underperforming show where it's not even bringing back half of its viewers from the first season. Season 2, they're not even bringing back half of the viewers that watched season 1. That's pretty rough. That's extremely rough. So I don't know. Let me know in the comments, how many seasons do they get before they cancel it? Are they going to put a pause on season 3, or do you think they go through season 3 before they decide to pull the plug and not finish out the last 2 seasons, season 4 and 5? Or do they just try to be like, all right, we're going to do season 3, but we're going to wrap it up. Like, we're going to try to tell, if they did that, that would be the most frustrating thing. I would rather them cancel it with an open book on the story that nobody cares about, with characters that nobody gives a crap about or are invested in. Just cancel it, let it just be a fart in the wind and move on, then try to wrap up a hunk of garbage, because you're just going to get a bigger heap of garbage to try to finish it off with, and it's never going to be looked at with pleasant memories. It's going to be looked at with disgust, with hatred, and it's going to be a big black mark on the Middle-earth IP, and the fans are going to be tearing into it. If they try to wrap this up without just flat out being like, never mind, we're canceling, and they try to wrap it up early before their 5-season plan, they try to tell the whole story in like one season, that they have plans for the next 3. I could see them doing something that's stupid, but that would be the wrong choice. So I would say tread lightly, Amazon Prime. Make your financial choices wisely, and get this show canceled, because it's going to eat up a bunch of money unnecessarily, and nobody likes the show anyway. So let's cancel this puppy. Let's stop funding it. You want to defund something? Defund Rings of Power. Hashtag defund Rings of Power. Let's stop this nonsense, and let's see what Warner Brothers can come out with, because they got The Hunt for Gollum coming out. And I just saw today that Sir Ian McKellen is basically confirmed he's going to be playing Gandalf again. They already reached out to him. They're going to send him scripts in the new year, and he's probably going to take it. So we might be getting Sir Ian McKellen back as Gandalf for some Warner Brothers projects. Let me know in the comments if you guys are excited about that. Tell me all your thoughts about Rings of Power this season. What do you think is going to happen with this show if they can't seem to get people to watch it and it's just eating up money unnecessarily? I would really appreciate your thoughts. Thanks so much for joining me on this live. It means a lot that you stuck around with me, the people that joined, and I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. I got to go, but I'll see you guys on Thursday to do a review of episode 5 of The Rings of Power. I'll see you then.